Should I sell my house, fly to my boyfriend, and do my job searching there? I could really use some advice on what to do. My family, especially my sister, has been treating me like a failure during what is already a difficult turning point in my life, even though I've always been the only self-sufficient child in the family. To give you some background, I'm the only one who finished school, held steady employment, and consistently supported myself. My sister, on the other hand, repeated a year in high school, has never been able to keep a job longer than a month, and would be homeless without my parents' help. The only reason she's now financially comfortable and living in a $1 million home is because my parents essentially built her career for her. My mom bought properties under my sister's name and used my name, because neither of them could show stable income, to help secure financing. Meanwhile, my dad funded her business, both financially and emotionally, and paved the way for her success. Growing up, my sister was always jealous of my independence and ability to connect with people outside our family bubble. In fact, she once told my friends that I was poor and live a low-end lifestyle. Despite this, I tried to support the family whenever I could. I was renting a place when my mom suggested I move into her property instead. I agreed and started paying her rent. Eventually, I took over the mortgage because she needed her name off the property to help my sister buy her dream home. At the time, I was only making $45,000 a year and living paycheck to paycheck. I could barely make ends meet. Things improved slightly when my ex-boyfriend moved in and started contributing to the rent, and I eventually found a better job paying $65,000 a year. For a while, I was finally able to save some money. Unfortunately, my relationship with my ex turned out to be emotionally and mentally draining. He was selfish and inconsiderate, and after 4 years of struggling, it deeply affected both my mental and physical health. I lost my job, ended the relationship, and now I'm finding it nearly impossible to secure new employment in this economy. I'm currently surviving on unemployment benefits. Now, my mortgage is up for renewal, and with the rising interest rates, keeping the property just isn't financially viable. I told my mom, and she told my sister, that I need to sell. My mom pushed back and seemed frustrated with me for wanting to sell, arguing that I wouldn't be able to afford another home in today's market. She offered to help financially, saying she could provide up to $30,000 with no need for repayment until I'm back on my feet. Later, my sister called and reassured me not to worry, saying they would lift me up financially so I could keep the property and focus on finding a job. She refused to go into a bank to give me a lump sum and instead wants me to remind her on a daily basis to transfer me $1,000. At this point, I'm down to my final unemployment payment. Just covering basic shelter costs is about $5,000 per month. My sister gave me $12,000 in total, which only covers 2 months, and said that's all she can give. Then she suggested I get a job at Starbucks. To me, this wasn't just advice, it felt like a power move to position herself as the successful, beautiful, accomplished sister while painting me as the loser. She even went so far as to call my ex-boyfriend to tell him I was ungrateful for breaking up with him, claiming he was the best I could ever have. It was so inappropriate that even he called me to say I shouldn't trust her. This entire situation feels incredibly unjust. I could have sold my place months ago, but now I owe my mom and sister $12,000 and feel like I've lost control over my own financial decisions. When I again told them I want to sell, they responded with no, just wait, we'll think of something, and asked me to send them a breakdown of renovation costs. I find it deeply frustrating that my sister, who knows nothing about my life or financial responsibilities, is now calling the shots. If she really wanted to help, she could offer me a position at her coffee shop. Instead, she told me to work at Starbucks, even though she owns a coffee shop in the area. What bothers me the most is that I never asked to be in this position. I don't like being seen as the victim, and I don't like depending on others, especially not my family. I've always prided myself on being independent, working hard, and carving out a life on my own terms. The only reason I accepted help this time was because I felt cornered, misled, and emotionally pressured into staying in a situation that no longer made financial sense. Now, my sister wants to hold an in-person meeting along with my mom, her boyfriend, and my friend to discuss my solutions. To make things more complicated, I'm now in a relationship with someone in the US my family doesn't know about him yet. He's offered for me to stay with him rent-free while I search for a job. While I can't stay longer than 3 months at a time because I am not an American, there are possible workarounds. It would mean leaving behind my friends and my current life, and I know my mom would be heartbroken if I moved far away. But at this point, it seems like one of the only realistic options I have. I'm lying here this early AM, on my brand new Cadillac of a bed, looking back at the last month. I have achieved a massive amount of stuff. Paid my truck off early, new bed, getting some ham radio stuff together for my Go kit. And a lot more. I mean, I feel like a massive weight has been lifted off me. It's surreal. 10+ years ago I was just scraping by. On disability, a few hobbies to help supplement my income. But all that money was saved in a coffee can. Of course I made a few bad decisions, got into a relationship that lasted 7 years and I was just an idiot not seeing what was happening. And I was being used by her entire family. So bye Felicia. After that I focused and doubled down, and stockpiled. I focused on myself for once, get myself healthy again. Got my teeth fixed, a couple surgeries to help my medical issues out. And just wanted to figure out what I need to do to survive into the future. I had my mid-40s BD a few weeks ago. And when it's time to step it up a bit more. Found out I had enough saved up and paid everything off I could, but wanted to keep some credit going out there and bought the new bed I'm on. 12 months OAC and whatnot. Now sorry, here is where the tears start. My ex. She was a dream for me. Beautiful, pure-hearted lady. Today would have been her 46th BD. She had a wonderful daughter. She loved me like her dad, that it was something she never talked about, nor did the ex. I never pushed it and figured she'd tell me someday. But her daughter loved me enough to call me her Pip. Anyway, I'm lying here thinking how proud she'd be of me tonight. How both of them would. They are with me tonight in spirit. We were together 4 years. We'd do spontaneous stuff like early Fat Tuesday. She's like, let's go. Paid for 3 tickets to New Orleans and we had a blast. She was perfect for me and just what I needed. My yang for my ying. 1 in a million. Sadly, she and her daughter, along with one of her best friends, was killed in an accident. Stolen cement truck hit them in a roundabout. Driver was an undocumented immigrant. I still to this day don't know what happened to him. He disappeared off radar after the accident. They have had no justice. Just an unfortunate accident. Honestly, sad as it may be, they are in a better place. And from witnesses' accounts it happened fast. So it is my hope they had no pain exiting this realm. And due to the nature of the accident and the fact she was an organ donor, they did an autopsy, and found she had cancer. I won't go into that here. It wasn't pretty. She never said anything, if she even knew at that point. She made every day as special as possible and did it with flair and ease. She was always a happy person. Unless she was whipping my butt with her slipper. I miss them dearly. Painful some days, as it's been 5 years now I've been single again, and today, like I said, is her BD. My ex is always with me. I actually carried a jar of her and her daughter's ashes mixed together with me for a very long time. Waiting to find the right place to release them. Nothing felt right till I was visiting the Washington coast and was at the Tree of Life. Somehow I ended up 50 miles from where I was. Lol. It was pretty quiet on the beach that day. When I knelt down next to the stream that runs under the tree, a little girl came running up asking whatcha doing. Mom was close behind making sure she wasn't botnering me. I really didn't know how to explain it, so I asked her mom that these are a friend's ashes. I'm pouring them out to the ocean. Her mom explained it very well to her. Even offered to say a prayer I've never heard. And her daughter wanted to help. It about broke my heart. I was not seeing her. I was seeing my little one. We finished the task. Her mom said another prayer and we parted ways. I walked over to the nearest log and probably sat there 2 hours just looking at the waves crashing in. The drive home was quiet. Had dinner at the nearest Applebee's I could find and had her favorite dish and drink. Fajitas and a vodka lemonade. From that day things have changed for the better. I've started focusing more on me and things are good. I haven't even looked at any dating sites, or gone to anything bat type other than the Legion Hall. I'm done hunting. They say they show up when you stop looking. I live with a lot of medical issues. Still on disability, and that scares most away. But for once I'm okay with that. But it's probably time I let some more of these memories go and not dwell on the past as much. But it can't hurt to smile and think of them occasionally. Kimiko, thank you, and to my little CC, thank you as well for making me a better person all those years ago. I miss you and love you both dearly. I hope paradise is all that they say it is. Sorry for the long post. Late night musings. I made a shadow account because she has my main. I, 28M, have been dating Emma, 26F, for almost 2 years. I made it a habit of talking out difficult topics on first dates. Examples are kids, religion, marriage, financial goals, career choices, politics. I figured that if we had anything too different we could part as friends or acquaintances. We lined up with almost everything. She didn't want kids, I couldn't have them, we were both non-religious but respectful of those who were. Politics were a little messy but honestly nothing too crazy. The only real difference was she intended on marriage, and I think it's a hollow constitution. I thought Kay could revisit the topic at a later time and she agreed. My parents were not the shining show of a perfect married couple, and I honestly thought that was a big issue that I had to work on. Maybe given time, my thoughts on it would change. We met the parents after a year and she understood why I was hesitant on marriage considering what I grew up with and what she could see just by a visit. We agreed I would start therapy and she did her own to both help support me in my journey and not lose herself to being my support. Another 6 months passed and we moved in together. That was a big step for me because I never had a live-in partner before because it had always felt too domestic and marriage-like. But the smile and hug she gave me was enough to soothe a lot of the anxiety I had out asking her. Hardly anything changed in our relationship from there. We just saw each other every day. Fast forward to now, and I have half-assed been looking at rings. My best friend has been a huge help with his Jouet knowledge, and I have been keeping it under wraps because I don't want to get her hopes up for me to chicken out. And few friends have been engaged in the last few years, and a few times I heard the kind of proposal she would want, not public, evening with setting sun, and just something cute. We live near a beach, so I thought a beach thing with some flowers would be nice. But this brings us to the issue. I came home a few days ago to a big to-do. A full swing party and grilling and everything. Family and friends were there and I was taken off guard. Did I forget a birthday, anniversary or event we planned? Well shit, I am screwed. But Emma told me she just threw something together just because, and I relaxed. I got a beer, mingled. Emma was glued to Kay for quite a bit of it. I thought she was worried I was mad, so I made sure to let her know how fun this was. I usually don't like surprises, but this was nice. Then as everyone gathered to eat, she stood and gave a speech about family and friends and how we have all come a long way, and that was excited to tell us all that we would have a new addition in a few months while holding her stomach and beaming. It was immediate noise of cheers, congratulations, shrieks of joy from her mother, and so much. I stared at her for the longest time, and kept asking, "Are you sure?" Like a broken record. I was beyond stunned because I could not have children naturally. I hadn't told her because she never wanted kids and we were always careful just in case. My dad, knowing my medical condition, stood up and stormed out, quickly followed by my very confused mom. He had been the only one I had confided in about the diagnosis. To be clear, I get tested often. I was supposed to donate material for a lesbian couple I am friends with, but was told I shot a bank of blanks. I did testing and stuff immediately after. I hadn't expected to be so shaken by it. I had been tested about 3 months ago and still have blanks. Numb, I hugged her and smiled through what felt like torture for the next several hours. I waited till the next day to talk to her about it, as she had been visibility exhausted from the party. I sat her down and just handed the medical report from 3 months ago to her and explained everything. She got upset at me for keeping this from her and was even angrier when I said I needed a paternity test, either now or when the baby was born. Foolishly still holding out hope. She threw papers at me, yelling and cursing for being a sneaky bastard and implying she's a whore. She tried to kick me out, but I told her I own the house and she wasn't on the deed, so if anyone would leave, it would be her. She cried, called his sister and left. I had to explain about a dozen times to everyone the full extent of everything, even sending the medical papers to group chats. Some think it was wrong to keep it from her for so long, some think it's smart to get a DNA test, some want to smear her on social media. She keeps calling and it alternates between screaming at me for being cruel and taking her joy away in this moment, and crying about how I abandoned her and our miracle child. Is she overreacting?